Hello, everyone. It's the first time we've been back in a minute, so welcome back, Kennedy, in the
Hey,
DFW, home for the holidays.
yes.
Maybe you and I can catch up. Sir Charles, how you doing over there?
Happy holidays, everybody. I'm great.
You look like Ebenezer Crump over there. That's what you look like. I'm
Oh
just
my
saying.
God.
No, not that.
You remember that?
Yeah, no doubt.
A Christmas Carol. Yeah. Kennedy, so before we get into it, guys, it is Christmas, it is the holidays, it's that time of year. Um, I will tell you, one thing that's I'm positive about. I was out getting my COVID test. We'll talk about COVID a little bit later today. And my normal spots where I can go and get in and out wasn't happening. Wasn't happening. The lines were long. I'm normally get my COVID test. I'm in and out in 15 minutes.
Wow.
4 hours today. 4 hours. Got in line at 8 this morning, 8:16, and got out at 12:09. Almost 4 hours. So, look, I just wanted to make sure. Coming off Atlanta and what now some are calling super spreader, but depending on what activities you partook in. But it's exciting to see the people getting tested at least with Omicron and doing the right thing. I talked to a lot of people while we were, in our cars just waiting for hours today. And it was a lot of that, just proactive. They had family come in town. They were getting tested. Everybody's getting tested, just trying to do the right thing and be as proactive as possible. So that was encouraging because once upon a time that just wasn't the case. So that was encouraging. I also talked to a couple people at the testing centers, at various testing centers, and one of the things they said, even though it's not making traction in Dallas, the numbers have skyrocketing. At my main testing center, they said they have more positives this week than they have had in the last 6 months.
Wow.
So yeah. So definitely appreciate your due diligence. Get tested. If you don't get tested, keep your mask on and try to keep to yourself. That's all I can tell you.
Well, at this point, what would be the benefit of not getting tested, not getting vaccinated? None of that makes sense. I mean, it didn't make sense to begin with, but you see, 2021 was supposed to be the year that we get back outside, and now, no.
It's like we going back inside again.
Right. I mean, so it's going in one big vicious circle. I mean, you look at the overall death toll, it's north of 800,000. I mean, that should be enough to get everybody's attention.
I didn't even realize we had crossed 800,000 number.
Yeah, me
Yes.
neither. I didn't.
Going back, I'm just going to reflect on this because I know a lot of people that watched the show were in Atlanta this past weekend. So I know, Kennedy, you had that was the top topic, just reflection of the Celebration Bowl. But let me just tell you, I will admit this. I got a call from a good friend of mine. We're both in Atlanta, and I made a decision, an intentional decision, that even though I was in Atlanta, that I really only went to the game and back to the hotel. That's it. I didn't go to any other events. I didn't linger after the game. If I spoke to somebody, like I ran into Charles, if I ran into somebody as I was coming out, cool. But I wasn't going looking for anybody like I would normally do, or we would be meeting up. I didn't go to the alumni functions. I didn't. Now, it's not that I didn't want to, but Charles, you rubbed off on me. I looked at Facebook and I was getting calls and getting text messages, and all you got to do is go to Facebook and see what the crowd's like because somebody's posting it. And I looked and I did one of Charles' number. No.
Yeah,
Right.
a lot of the events was like, I have a lot of friends that's in the boom or cheerleading and stuff. So beforehand, I guess like Thursday or Friday they had a nice event. It turned out good, but I didn't see a lot of masks. And then a lot of my friends, they went to the game, but a lot of them also got COVID because they did other extracurricular activities, went to the club and, no mask and everything. And so it's just like everybody needs to be tested. Half of the Sonic Boom of the South has COVID right now. So
Yeah.
everybody, I think some people may not have it. Like I think maybe WT because they're a little far back, but like half of the boom has COVID. So they're quarantined right now. So it's just a lot going on. My friend, I hope she's doing well. Shanice, she just recently got COVID as well, so I'm just praying for her. But I got my booster, so I got my booster like last Wednesday. I'm trying to stay proactive as best as I can. Me, my mom, and my dad. So
Yeah, I mean, we got our booster November 3rd and November 4th in this house. So I was boosted up before I even got to Atlanta, but still, I wasn't taking any chances and I had on mask everywhere. And I think, when I got in the game, I just saw so many people without mask. And I was just like, look, this is the first time we've been in a game this year where we're inside and not outside. Number one. And you should wear a mask anyway. And we just got lax, kind of like our football team did this past weekend. We were just a little we became a little overconfident because the numbers had gone down significantly. The testing lines, you could literally run in and out. I mean, it just wasn't ravaging like it was in the past, and we got confident. We got confident that it was gone. We got
Yeah,
confident that we had
yeah, but
defeated
you
it. And
you think
and the
about
truth
this.
is we never did.
Yeah, but think about it from this perspective. Most of us who went to the game and left, we're fine.
Yeah, true.
the people that's
True.
yeah.
True.
If you went to Atlanta on a Wednesday or a Thursday for a Saturday football game, then you went looking to socialize in smaller spaces than the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. With
Right.
with per square inch, probably more people in a concentrated area than you would have on your row or your section.
That's true.
Yep.
You can expect that somebody in there with the rapid spread of Omicron. Yes, I mean it's to be expected.
So what you're saying is not rocket science, but it is science. It's
Yeah,
just
it's science, and the science is if you're going to the football game, go to the football game.
And people just, finals happen and I get it, but at the same time, y'all, I know y'all want to take a break, but it's just like you got to be smart. Like my friends and I, we're gonna go to Houston after New Year's Eve, but when
Mhm.
we've been traveling all semester, every year, every time we spray down everything, wipe down everything. We always wear masks. Like I keep a pack of masks in my car. Like, and on top of that, JSU recently sent out an email. I don't know if you got it, Dr. Irvin, because it's really to the students, but it was just like everybody, regardless of your vaccination status, you have to test negative. Like you have to bring a negative COVID test. So I told my friend, I was like, look, we're gonna go, but we're not gonna do too much because it's literally days before we move in. And I'm like, I'm not trying to move in late. We already can't move in on the weekend, so it is what it is.
I saw
you know,
another. I didn't get that email, but I did get another email. Kudos to Jackson State. Anybody who's in the in between session, the intercession.
Oh yes.
I thought that was big of the university. Anybody who's in intercession with the balance, Jackson State University is picking up your balance.
I wish
wait a minute. Say that again.
they
Yeah,
paid for the
That's
winter.
worth repeating. Say that again.
yeah. So if you're taking intercessional courses and you have a balance, intercessional courses at Jackson State, of course, they're not picking it up everywhere. Is that
Break
at
that
Jackson
down,
State
Charles.
University?
Now you using them PhD words. Go on, break that down.
Yeah.
Because everybody not on the PhD or master's level or bachelor's. So just
Well,
break it down now.
so here you go. The fall semester has ended. We're getting ready to start the spring semester. In between those two semesters, there's a mini semester called intercession. If you enrolled in intercession and you have a balance at Jackson State University, then President Hudson has sent word from on high that Jackson State is taking care of your balance.
Wow, that's great
I do
stuff.
that beforehand. I would have took a couple classes, but I'm already ahead of my major. I'm already ahead of my major, so it's fine. But I'm just like,
Yeah.
wow, I
You
could.
know, I'm just gonna say, I don't know why y'all don't get out of school in 4 years because we didn't have all this stuff back in the day. So I mean, I got out in 4 years, but you just had to go to summer school and take 20 hours to do what you did. But well, point I didn't really have to go to summer school all 4 years. I just didn't want to go home. So, so I just went to school. That was the only way my folks was gonna let me stay in Jackson. So that's how I did it. But we didn't have the period in between where we could take an extra class here, there, and some of those things that you guys are afforded now. And even in high school, you guys are coming out and able to take college classes your last 2 years and take AP classes. No excuse, no excuse, just no excuse. So I don't understand the 5 and 6 year plan for you guys today. I don't get it. I don't get it. And so when people say, "Well, did you finish it for you?" Absolutely, I did. I did. So that's why. And I told my daughter, she said, "Daddy, do I have to finish?" I said, 4 years or less. You can finish in less, but no more than four. That's that's that's
Right. You
that's
don't
how
want to
we
be in
do it.
college too long. The only 5 year plan I know is like for certain engineer majors, and they only stay a semester. That's it, really. It's not even a whole year.
Yeah. You see, Dr. Irvin's not talking. It's the reason why he's not responding to that because he took his gap year within the school
Oh,
year. So
But guess what?
he
4 years, big
graduated
dog.
though. You
see,
graduated,
see,
right?
see.
Tell him, Dr. Irvin. You tell him.
Right. Yeah. So when you finish 4 years,
Yeah, he finished in 4 years. He was doing the gap year before the gap year was a thing.
Oh.
Yeah, he literally took a gap year while we was in school. I was like, "What you doing?" Oh man, I just need a break. Huh? What? That's what he did.
Gosh.
So, but thinking about that, talk to me a little bit, Kennedy. About we were talking about Atlanta. Like I said, what drove me? I got a call. So get from around this. Look, I'm positive. A lot of us are positive. I want to get tested. I said, well, I ain't see you. And I ain't see none of the people y'all talking about because I didn't go to none of those things. But I am going to get tested. I always do every time. Even when I go to Jackson, Charles will tell you when I come back, I go get tested. It's just the what I do. But there was a lot of people that tested positive. And I think Charles is right. They were socializing. If you look at most of those cases, either they were socializing or somebody that was socializing went around somebody that wasn't and exposed them.
Mm-hmm.
hmm
And
Yeah.
that's the part that's unfair. If you know you've been out there socializing, don't go don't go around nobody. Don't go around nobody, especially somebody that hasn't. That's just not cool.
Yeah, that's how it is. Like, even like I said, my friend, she wasn't socializing. We both didn't go to the game though. We said we didn't want to go. So many people was like, "Why you not going to the game?" I said, "Cause I don't want to." Like, I just really didn't want to go. I'm broke. I need money. Like, I gotta. We barely have a break, so y'all could go. I am broke. So we just stayed back home. But like, even with her, she really wasn't socializing. Somebody went around her. So it just is what it is, but she's doing good. She's vaccinated, fighting through it. But same thing with some of our family members as well. That's honestly why we also like this year we just decided not to go to Chicago either. And some of our family just decided not to come back down here because the numbers just got really, really bad. Last year we all got tested before we got together, but this year we just said let's just chill. So it's just gonna be my parents and I for Christmas. So yep.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
since you guys were there, I do have a question.
Okay.
How how was the game? Cause wow, I didn't. Nobody expected that. But I'm gonna say this before y'all say anything. I'm gonna be honest with you. I think we went in thinking that we were going to beat them because we saw their record. I also think when my dad was like, because we also had another one of my old AAU coaches who graduated from Jackson State as well. Him and his wife came over, and we were both talking about it. I also think Shadur wasn't well, maybe not Shadur, but the O line wasn't used to all them blitzing. They wasn't actually blocking. The running back missed some blocks as well, so Shadur could never get a throw, or if he did, He wasn't getting looking at the man that was open, and then the defense was always on the field because they were tired. That was my analysis, my analysis. But what about you guys? Since you guys were there, little
Charles.
I will say, Kennedy, I tried to warn, just like I try to warn people on everything. I'm risk averse. I tried to warn all of my friends, I'm going to sit up for this, that South Carolina State was not to be played with because I am very familiar with their coach.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
And I told them, if you take it lightly, they're going to beat us. And that's what happened.
it just made me disappointed because it was just like, how did you let the one guy just score all the touchdowns?
Well, let me say this first of all, and I agree with Charles. I was very familiar with Buddy Pugh. He's been coaching in South Carolina. First of all, he's alumnus of South Carolina State. He's been coaching there for 20 years.
Oh,
And if you know anything about his recruiting style, nearly all of that roster is South Carolina kids are nearby Georgia. So they develop kids. They do a great job of developing, get hungry kids. Kids are there for 4 years. They develop so they know each other. They have chemistry. And they always play good defense. They always have. They always have. And so what I knew going in, I said, if we don't have the right game plan, we're going to have a problem. And if we can't make adjustments, we're going to have a problem. And here's what I said. Anytime you give any good coach a month to prepare, they know all your tendencies. They know everything you do. So they're going to be very prepared for what you do. What you have to do is anticipate that they're going to be very prepared for what you do. So you've got to have some different schemes and do some different things that they haven't seen.
That's right.
And we didn't do that. We didn't do that. We were so predictable that literally when we came up and got into formations, they literally knew what we were running.
they knew.
And they anticipated where we were going to be. And 9 out of 10 times we were there. And so we only had one drive where we drove down the field and caught them a little bit off guard. That's because we had a little success running the ball that drive, and they weren't able to just lock up and just come at us for a blast. The other thing is when you're looking at a game like that, you cannot, when you're playing a good defense, MEAC traditionally always plays good defense. And when you play a good defense, you can't turn the ball over. And it wasn't just that we turned the ball over, it was where we turned the ball over.
Right.
We turned the ball over on our 1-yard line and our 10-yard line, and again on our 19-yard line.
That's right.
You can't survive that. And so their quarterback wasn't exceptionally great until he was. He was great on 4 throws.
Yeah.
They were all for touchdowns. He was great on those 4 throws, but he went 12 for 26 or 12 for 28. He was right at 50%.
He did his job.
He did his job.
Doesn't matter what his stats are. End of the
Don't
day,
matter.
End of the day, we put him in a position. They took advantage of it. You know,
that's the bottom line. We made mistakes. They capitalized on every mistake we made.
So we
and that's normally what Jackson State does to other teams. We normally capitalize on the mistakes they made, but we were the one making mistakes this game. The other thing is mentally, we were not prepared for what we were going into. And I think, and it happens when you're winning, it happens. You can get, even though you don't think you are, you can get overly confident, and then you got to be prepared. This just like, here's how it works when you're the underdog. Their coaches spend all the time telling you just how good the other team are. They make you want to beat the other team because you getting disrespected at every turn. When you're on the top of the hill, you got to find things to motivate yourself because everybody's telling you how great you are. Why do you think when you look at the Michael Jordan documentary, he talked about he would create things to just get him infuriated so he could get laser focused on what he needed to do. And good coaches do that at the right time. We ain't had a lot of experience doing this. We just started winning again this year. So we'll learn from it. But that's what happened. And when you go in there and they got the momentum, and once they got the momentum,
it was over with.
Yeah, it was over.
Okay, so I do have one question. So it was funny because after we lost, Alcorn was talking all that smack on Twitter and Facebook, but they never won a Celebration Bowl. But anyways, so this is my question. I didn't know that really the SWAC hasn't won the Celebration Bowl in a while. I think besides Gremlin. So
We've
like,
only won one out
so,
of six.
so like, how has it always been the MEAC has been like a really good division? Like, what is really the best? I guess like even though we're biased, but still like looking at stats wise and stuff, what is the best division in HBCU sports and like football and stuff?
That's a great question, Kennedy. That's a great question. I will answer it like this. For 4 of those years, the best team in black football was in the MEAC, and that's North Carolina A&T.
Mm.
They won 4 of them.
Yep.
So there's your answer.
Yes. Here's your answer.
The SWAC is going through a revitalization, a rebirth. So now we have the strongest conference in all of black football.
Oh, okay.
Um, but for a while there, North Carolina A&T was the king of the hill. I'll give them their props. One of the reasons why Alcorn never won a Celebration Bowl is because they played A&T.
Mm-hmm. 3 times, right?
Yeah.
And I think A&T did like what 61 points or something like
Well, I
that.
mean, they were competitive with them, but they just got
Yeah.
beat all 3 times.
Right.
and I think here's what I'll say to you. I fundamentally believe if Jackson State is blessed to get back the next year, they'll win.
I do
Um,
too.
but I think when you look at if you take A&T out of it now, even if you look at A&T is supposedly having what you call a down year this year. They still beat South Carolina State. Fam, you beat South Carolina State. You take any other day and put us in the regular season against South Carolina State, we beat South Carolina State. I don't want to be confused. I'm giving South Carolina State all the pride. They beat us in the Celebration Bowl. But Jackson State had the talent and had everything they needed to be capable of beating South Carolina State. But Jackson State didn't play well.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't play well. And they didn't execute well from all phases, coaching, playing. It was a total failure. And sometimes you have games like, and when you have games like that, you can't help but learn from. Because
Yeah.
there's no way you can say, man, it was close if we just didn't know. You got your butt beat.
We got beat. I'm not even gonna hypothesize that we would beat them in the regular season because we didn't play them in the regular season. We played them in the Celebration Bowl. They beat our butts in the Celebration Bowl.
They beat our butts. They beat our butts. No, I was just saying, giving some back history that North Carolina
Oh yeah, because I
A&T,
mean Alabama A&M
yeah,
beat them. So I
yeah,
mean,
yeah,
Wow.
yeah. So, but it goes to speak to what you're saying now is the parity across all of HBCU football. You got to show up to play every week. I don't care if it's a Celebration Bowl or the Dog Bowl. You better be ready to play or you're gonna toe the L.
Yeah.
that's right.
And I think a lot
And this year coming up, 22 is gonna be even worse because everybody, and I mean, I'm looking at what
Even
Valley is
better.
doing, and
They better.
yeah,
Even better.
everybody's getting better.
I think one thing after the game, it was one SWAC player from one football team. I can't remember, but he was like, seriously though, y'all. He said we can't let the MEAC keep winning the Celebration Bowl. He
Yeah,
said we got to like let's be for real. And I think also like since we're transitioning a little bit, Valley got a huge recruit as well. I've been seeing a lot on Twitter. Valley's going to start getting better. I think ever since we got Travis Hunter, you could also see it was a great pro, but I will say it was sad seeing it on social media how
yeah,
the white folks tore him up after he, committed to Jackson State. And not even that, even a black man. So I don't know if you guys know Twitter Space is like basically, a chat room that you could do on Twitter. I just found out the other day. But this black man was hosting it. And as soon as you entered, I guess you had to say if I don't know Florida State's head coach, Michael something or
Mike Norvell.
Mark Norvell. They was like fire him or F him, whatever. But they were saying some really rude things, and it was just sad as a black man. I'm just like, I'm sorry, but he was giving real coon vibes. I really am. I'm just being honest. He was, and he was saying things, and not only that, he was like, "But don't test my blackness." But you're hosting something like this, comparing a black student. You should be happy for him to go to HBCU. Well, I am, and certain students were talking in the space, and he was cutting them off, and it got so big to where ESPN was on. Fox, like big news channels were on that space. It had over 1,000 viewers. And so I think it was great to see him commit to HBCU, and I'm seeing other students as well commit to HBCUs. That's why I think HBCU sports is going to go so far. But I feel like I want them to see, as soon as you are not making money for these white folks, they will throw you away like a towel. Simple.
I think it's a reflection of where we are as a country and where it is. I mean, it's nothing new, and it's nothing. I mean, I certainly knew it was coming. I mean, but I think hopefully, what I'm hoping is that all of our student athletes that look like you and me are paying attention and seeing it for what it is. They painted the picture. We didn't, but I just want you to see the picture they painted. And if we ever get to the point where we realize where we look at the Power Five structure, where 70% of the athletes that's on the field look like me and you, but yet they did a survey and it just came out. I was listening on Sirius FM radio this morning. They did a survey just of college athletes at Power Fives, and most of them said it's great when they're in that bubble of fellow athletes, but they really don't feel comfortable going out around campus because of all the other stuff that comes with it. And so, I think if if the student athletes really see it for what it is and start taking the action and start making different decisions, you're going to only see more, because it's going to change the power structure and the trajectory of where we are, particularly as college athletics.
Even ESPN knocked his rating down to 2 after he committed. I said,
Well,
wow.
here's what I would say about that, because I've heard a lot of people say ESPN knocked his rating down. That's not 100% accurate.
They always had him as 2, I believe.
They had him as 2. Another recruiting site had him as 1.
Okay.
Anytime you get into the top 2, you can make an argument to be 1, especially when you're ranked number 1 on another recruiting site.
Mm.
It's fair of them to say number 2. We gonna say number 1, and we're gonna move on, because there's no need to put gas on the arguments that are surrounding Black players playing in historically Black colleges and universities versus Power Five. It is what it is. They've benefited, but here's the gag. They benefited by coming south when Black players could only play in historically Black colleges and universities, and figuring out a way to get those bans lifted so that they could help themselves to the best talent.
Mm.
It has now come full circle, and historically Black colleges and universities are full of prosumers. I will say prosumers because the Black community at large knows how to consume.
To
Those who
the
are
tune of $600 billion a year.
right, we know how we're professional consumers, so we got prosumers.
We are. I'm one of them.
Right. So, but this is how this plays into this unique time in history. As prosumers, we understand and have an eye for what moves the culture. We didn't create the hostility between police and Black people. We didn't create the hostility that was spewed towards all ethnic minorities from the White House for 4 years. That environment came from predominantly white individuals. So you cannot expect people to be in a bubble of sports only.
Mm-hmm.
They have lives outside of sport. And so if you are consuming the news, if you only looked at the news, then that says I'm not wanted.
And then another, I don't know if you guys saw, it was really on Twitter, but a Florida State fan, set fire Deion Sanders' Florida State jersey.
Jersey,
It was like a plaque, I think it was a jersey and something else, and he put it on fire and he tried to delete it quick. Once it's on the internet and people get screenshotted, it's out there. It's a paper trail. It's forever.
It's out there.
And
So
it was
I
just
think-
like, wow, like.
Well, what we're talking about right now parlays into one of our next topics, which was the signing of what we call, as Charles says, the number one ranked high school recruit, because it's factual that one site called it that. I think it was 24/7 Sports,
Right.
and Rival actually had him ranked as number one.
Mhm.
The pros and cons, and I think the pros and cons are not so much the pros and cons for Jackson State. They were trying to say the pros and cons, for him. And I I say this, and Charles just put it in a pretty gift bag for us. There's more to the college experience than just a game. And there is nothing you got at the Power Five that can compete with the culture. So if a kid desires the culture in any way, you don't have an answer to that. And so when you look at Travis Hunter and his statements, and particularly, let me just commend the young man. The young man can
Yes,
write. The young man is gifted in more ways than one, and they don't involve a football field. But he was very intentional about what he was doing, and he stated the exact reason why he did what he did. And it was the biggest part of the culture. It was a part of that, and you can, and that's the fear. The fear is, I know I can compete with resources. I can dominate with resources. We can't compete with you with resources, but you can't compete with us with culture. So if we can find a kid that understands and wants the culture and experience, and the thing that lures Jackson State and makes Jackson State so attractive, because what other HBCU can you go in and play at their home stadium in front of 50 and 60,000 people? So that embodiment of that plus the culture can't compete with that. So I commend the young man. And I think, as a black male, this ain't his first time seeing the hate. I know he's a privileged athlete, but at the end of the day, Charles and I tell you, don't matter how many degrees we put behind our name, you get pulled over, you're black male. They read your statistics, you're black male. Now, and there's just some things in life that you will face at some point or another that let you know you black.
exactly. I definitely agree. And and I want to just say like two things. When you were saying we can't compete with the resources, for right now we can. But when we get the funding and we have the same resources, it's when we go from a Power Five to now, the only thing that you can't create is a culture. So it's just like I definitely agree. And I think also when you were saying like a black male, he of course he's experienced it because if I'm not mistaken, he's from Georgia or he plays high
Florida
I'm
originally.
from
Florida
Florida.
originally.
He has plays high school in Florida, so right there. And I actually recently just asked my dad. I was just like, how is it, just being a black male in a professional setting? Like, how did you go through that? Just, I guess basically saying, working twice as hard and you seeing somebody who's a white man getting a promotion. So it's you're reminded of your blackness every day, whether you're outside of your home or in your workplace. So but kudos to him. I definitely say when he committed, also I think a couple of days later he made a tweet. He was like, now it's up to like other athletes, the alumni, like let's get funding together. And I wholeheartedly believe, because we have already made the city of Jackson, I want to say over $30 million from first home game, homecoming, Alcorn, and the SWAC championship alone.
Mhm.
So you are going to see. So I pray to God that you will see so many improvements within the city and Jackson State. I pray. I hope the roads get better. Hope the infrastructure is going to get better. We start seeing some better improvements in the community and bringing back businesses. I hope. I really do. I know it's.
Kennedy,
I hope.
Kennedy, Kennedy.
I'm hoping.
Yeah. Hope is only allowed if Barack Obama is speaking. Uh,
The audacity of hope.
right. Uh, here's the reality. Yes, we want those things to happen, and I think over time they will. But I think what Travis Hunter's signing speaks to is Jackson State was great before Deion Sanders ever
Mhm.
found Jackson State. The renaissance that we are going through now, I can tell you at 9 years old, I went to see Alcorn versus Mississippi Valley State at Veterans Memorial on a Sunday,
Mhm.
3 o'clock kickoff. We went in the stadium at 9 a.m.
Pat.
packed. We are not new to these circumstances. We've always been true blue. What Dion has realized and embraced is that Jackson State is one of a kind in its fan base. We will go anywhere for that team.
Very true.
And so all we needed was a bigger flashlight. And Coach Sanders
it really was a perfect marriage.
Right, because Coach Sanders is a big flashlight.
Huge flashlight.
Right. And so you put those two things together, you can't build the type of fan base and support Jackson State football has overnight.
Mm-hmm.
That's decades upon decades of successes and failures. I mean, so what am I saying? I'm saying that one, Power Fives always knew that. And so they devised structures that would benefit them and them only by getting TV contracts, which I told you and Leslie several months ago.
Yes, you did. You did.
Two, they always knew that if it became a situation where people begin to discover HBCUs, because even though Jackson State is the biggest fan base, there are others like us in the universe. Tennessee State, Alcorn, Southern, FAMU, Grambling. The history at Grambling and Jackson State is probably only rivaled by an Alabama.
Yep.
If you look in state, if you look at the number of people in the Hall of Fame from Jackson State, it's more than Ole Miss, it's more than Mississippi State. So these are not things that happened overnight in a bubble. They've always known this. And they've always hired good Black assistant coaches to recruit Black kids.
And Dion speaks to that.
Dion
speaks to that fact too. He's like, who do you think goes and gets these kids?
Right. But the problem that they're running into now is you have one of the best athletes to ever put on cleats in the highest of heights, being able to go into someone's living room and he looks just like them and he just happens to be the head coach and he knows how to get things done.
And he knows what they go through outside of football. And I think that's what a lot of people, he knows what they go through. And I'm glad because like now he's putting athletes like Keontae Hampton. He's going to the NFL draft. I don't know if y'all heard of that.
Yep.
He's entering the draft. I think Aubrey Miller, he just announced that he decided to stay for one more year. I thought he was going to go to the draft. I really wanted him to go, but yeah, so it's good. I'm really happy, excited for HBCU sports. I really am.
Side note, so you'll know this because you are a budding sports fan. When you look at Aubrey on tape, Aubrey has all the hallmarks of an NFL linebacker. However, even with all of his smarts and his athletic abilities, sometimes the scouts will let the head coach know if it's that type of head coach, which Coach Prime is that type of head coach. Hey, coach, we think he's got the goods, but we need him to develop on the following points. Coverage of tight ends, a reaction to pre-snap. They'll give you a list of things that you need to go back and work on, which in turn doesn't mean that Aubrey couldn't have gone pro this year.
He could go higher.
What it means is it improves his marketability and earning power because he'll be a higher draft pick next year.
Okay. Yeah, that's good though. I'm very excited for that.
And that's stability. And then he comes back another year in a system that he gets to grow in with NFL coaches. And remember, you can't discount that. These guys know what the next level is like because they coached at the next level. And so developing the mental aspect of the game and his coverage skills and readability is what he has to work on because believe it or not, the NFL is a lot about the mental. It's a lot about the mental.
That's why they
everybody in the NFL is physically talented.
They call
did you know that?
What you say? I didn't hear you.
The nickname for the NFL. Not for long.
Not for long. Yeah. Average career is only 2.5 years.
Because mentally, you have to be able to grasp it right away. Otherwise, they replace you.
Yeah, quick. Is somebody else trying to take your spot? So
So
very
if he
true.
can get the seasoning and get everything, uh, another layer of work with Coach Thurman and those guys, that's all great for Aubrey. I mean, I'm happy to see him. I was happy to see him go. I'm happy to see him stay because I think he's a great kid, and I think he's been an asset to Jackson State, not just in football, but as a young man.
Yes, very
And
Yeah, and
true.
that's what
that
you want. That's what you want from a student athlete.
and guess
Yeah,
what? And that gets to come back and get work on graduate hours. You know,
Yeah.
yes.
so
It was real good seeing him too, because like I told you, I don't know if I told you earlier, I went to middle school with him. So just seeing him grow up now, and I'm
oh, I
like,
didn't
Hmm.
realize that. Yeah.
yeah, I went to middle school with him in Memphis. So I've been knowing him. When he saw me, I was surprised he recognized me because all my friends in Memphis, I moved right after like going into my freshman year. He was like, "Hey, how you doing?" I said, "Oh, you know, you remember me?" He was like, "Yeah, I ain't seen you in a while." I was like, "I moved to Texas shortly after, so yeah, you didn't see me, but it's good to see him. He graduated. I'm really happy for him. His family, his dad has always been supportive of him like that,
Hmm.
like ever since we were kids. Like literally the loudest in the basketball gym, on the field, literally everything. Always been the loudest. So it's really good to see that. I am happy about that.
But I think he for one really felt at home in the HBCU culture, and realized that Jack State was the perfect place for him. Because we love you, we take you in, and he's battled through some adversity, and he got over that edge and realized, hey, people here trying to help you zone in and do what you need to do. And so kudos to him. Kennedy, switching gears, take us into your topic dealing with the lawmakers in the congressional districts.
So I really thought this was interesting because we talked about this in my class with the Black American Politics class with Dr. Ori this semester, well this past fall semester about redistricting, and he kind of enlightened me on the history of how, especially in Mississippi, how they would try to redistrict and dilute and break up very majority Black districts and break it up to where we couldn't really put in office vote for the people to put in office that we would want.
Okay, I'm gonna stop you because there you go. See, Charles was giving us PhD words, you giving us soon to be bachelor words. Voting is so important that
Yes.
we've got to talk to the everyday people that might not have nothing but a high school education, if that. But we need them to understand why voting is important because a lot of times they're the ones that don't. So let's break this down. Why is talk
Come on
plain
with it,
language?
Kennedy. Come on, Kennedy.
So voting is very important because it's the key to quick change within your community. Just like a prime example with our past election for the sheriff, the deputy sheriff for the Hines County, that was really important because I really didn't even know, like it enlightened me when I saw the debate how they also had to they had to talk about like the Hines County jail. Like I didn't know
Hmm.
a lot of that was going on in the Hines County jail, and how it can affect your community. But not only that, keeping whole prisoners or will release prisoners that were actually, well, I don't want to say guilty, but they were a threat, so therefore it could basically cause more harm within the community. So voting with like that. Also, one of my teachers also talked about how, you know, the police officers wasn't getting enough pay. They're overworked and underpaid. So all that goes into part. And so, you know, one of the biggest issues in Jackson is crime. So if you're going to vote, you need to vote for a deputy that knows what they're doing, also that can break down like, I didn't even know. That's why I said it's really important to even attend the debates, because even when you think you're educated about a topic, you're really not. Like that's one thing that I like about politics and law. Like you're always learning. Like you think you know one form of the government, and it's like so much more.
But
Now
So,
tie
Kennedy,
all of
Kennedy,
that. Now
Kennedy,
tie
though,
all of that to
yeah,
the
voting.
dilution of the vote and
So
what that means.
right.
I
You set it
feel
up. Now
okay.
bring it on
Set
home.
it up
I'm
and
gonna
knock
bring
it
it up.
out.
I'm
Make
gonna
it
bring it up.
plain.
So basically, in the history of Mississippi, what Dr. Orr was telling us is how in the past, though I don't want to say the majority would break up majority Black districts to prevent us to vote in people like us into office to create
Okay,
change.
Okay, now
I'm
stop right
with you.
there.
Stop right there. What's a district?
A,
Yeah.
di- a district is like basically your county of like it's a uh,
You're talking about, so I'm gonna help you out. I'm gonna throw you a lifeline.
thank you.
Congressional districts have a preset number of people in them. some of those districts happen to be majority Black.
Yes.
The majority in your TED Talk that you just did are the white
Yeah.
voters,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And the white leadership taking advantage of their leadership position to dilute the power of a majority Black congressional district by separating it, which
Yeah.
is called cracking.
Yes. Thank you.
They,
Thank
they
you.
cracked
There
the
we go.
district. They cracked the
Now,
district, moved some of the people, and the way they move them is they're not physically picking them up and moving their houses. They
Mm-mm.
make these squiggly lines.
Yes. And I wish, like, dang, I don't think I
now,
could access
Kennedy,
the
let me
PowerPoint.
show you how to put a face on it so
Okay.
it make it real to people. Because you see, what I have to get us to do is make sure, because we're all about educating the audience, and you got to make, as Bernie Mac would say, when you talk to America, you got to make it plain.
Mm-hmm.
When put a face on it, so we know everybody in Mississippi knows the name Benny Thompson because he's
That's right.
been there for years. He's our most senior leader, but he's in a predominantly Black district. If you look at his district, but let's talk about what can happen if I take those squiggly lines. If I'm in leadership, right,
Mm.
and I take those squiggly lines and change his district. In other words, so I just cut out certain areas that were Black areas and draw in white areas, and I dilute it. So now it's not a 90% Black district,
It's like
it's
a
a 50-50 Black, or even a 60-40
40.
or 70-30. Why does that matter? Because historically, we know we don't get the turnout, but are probably around 50% or 40% of our voting population. So if they get all of their 30%, they ain't got to sway but 10% of that, and they win the election. And then guess what? Benny Thompson is no longer in office.
And it's even more important because we, like what you said, to piggyback of what you're saying, we don't even get all of our percentage of voters. We don't have a good voter turnout. Not only that, things like if you're a felony, you don't have a driver license, such things of that nature, or like the voting site is far. That's already a lot of barriers stacked against us to vote. That's why I just wanted to make it like aware for Mississippians, really, to just pay attention to the news, try to keep up a little bit, and just see how they're redistricting you to make sure that you can go out, vote, and make a change, and make sure that your voice is heard, so you can put people in office that look like us and that has the same voice as us to try to make change for us.
And
Like,
you also have to protect your block.
yes,
So
protect.
the pockets that we do have that are majority Black districts where we have our leaders with seniority. So when you think about uh, Representative Thompson, he has so much seniority because he's the elder statesman in the state. In the way that Congress works, you have your senior representative, you have your junior representative, you have your senior. So it's based on how long you've been there. You're on higher committees, more powerful committees, more powerful positions. If
That's
he
one
loses
part of it.
and I take him out, now I got a new person going in. They're not gonna have the power of leverage.
Yes, and the
That's
two
one
main,
part of it. Y'all have made this into a full-blown exercise in voting and
I
Congress.
know, but it's important
But
right now.
yeah, yeah, but you're gonna confuse people because
okay, okay, we
Benny,
break
Benny Thompson Benny Thompson will only be senior in the majority.
Right.
So if we lose the midterm election, which is what the overarching point is about voting and why your vote matters, you gotta win.
You gotta win.
got to
Because the people who win are the one who draw those squiggly lines.
exactly.
And
And
right now,
mhm.
Democrats are in majority, and that's why they fight so much over who's in majority and who's not. That's why you hear majority whip, minority whip. Who has the
Right.
power? Majority.
And right now, the main Black districts in Mississippi, if I'm not mistaken, is Jackson, and then also like it's in North Mississippi, like the DeSoto type of suburb, kind of Memphis.
Yeah, but you got the whole Delta. You got the
And then
Delta.
got the Delta as well. That's another one. That's what we're talking about in the article. So I just wanted to put that out there to make that aware. I always try to put in some Mississippi news into our show just to highlight y'all. So just make sure that you're looking at that and voting, and like it's really, really important, y'all. Like I can't stress that enough. Like even like I said when I was volunteering at the poll watch at Lanier High School, certain people, like even certain women, they were like, man, like it should be bigger than this. Like the turnout should be way more than this. He's like, I'm trying to see change for real. A lot of people did come. Hopefully they came after I left because I could only volunteer from like 8 to 2. So we saw a little bit during the lunch rush, but voting matters, y'all. So that's what I want to put out there.
We'll do another show on this component, but there's something I've been working on and reading about that we're gonna have to really start looking at as Black folks, because we're gonna talk about the dilution that naturally happens as we progress economically because we change where we live. So if we look at where even the three of us, and I'll pick on us for a minute, where we live will never be the majority in that district.
It's not. Yeah, we're not.
I'm just, and
Now,
and
speak for
so
yourself, because I stay in the black district.
well,
I stay in a nice, diverse district. Let's say
Kenny,
black.
don't even try it. Don't
Little
even try it.
M
I
is
know where you
getting
stay.
diverse. It's
Yeah,
getting diverse.
yeah,
Denton is
whatever.
getting diverse.
But you don't have the numbers.
Yes.
Nowhere
So when
close.
y'all do these scenarios, make sure y'all factually correct, because mine don't fit with y'all.
All right.
I was trying to throw you in there. I was trying to throw you in there
Yeah,
with
you
us,
tried to
Charles.
put me in there, but that don't quite fit.
I can't throw you in there, Charles.
No, not on that one.
Okay.
But
Charles
it's
said
a
it.
point.
No,
It's a point
Charles
well
said.
taken. It's a point well taken in this. I would say step outside of just your area, Leslie, and look at it from the standpoint of the example that we did during the presidential for Georgia, because Stacey Abrams is on the ballot, and they're trying to do everything that they can to dilute the vote. But if people realize their actual power, it doesn't necessarily matter where you pay taxes and where you live at. If you vote and you
If you
vote in
vote.
large numbers, she will win.
That's true.
And I pray she wins. She's been doing a
And
lot for the community.
particularly when it's majority vote, when you
Yeah,
statewide elections. Now, when you get into some of the pockets
right. When
where
you
it's
start breaking it down into those congressional districts, then yeah, I
yeah,
think absolutely the point that you're making about the three of us is always going to be valid, because we tend to move. Everybody moves. There's always a
yeah,
migration pattern.
right,
Um, that's largely based around economics. It used to be
right.
around the farming calendar. Now it's around economic well-being and job opportunities.
It just
Um,
is, and that's not going away. So, but just something to think about. Is like I think about it, nobody had these conversations when I was in college. At least I couldn't hear it, but
Dr.
I wish I paid attention
Dr.
to them.
Dr. Ivory would beg to differ.
I didn't have Dr. Ivory though. See,
Oh,
so
okay.
that's why. Yeah, but I could see, if you were in those classes, you had that. Yeah, it makes sense because that's why voting is so important. So the bottom line, people, we must vote. It's not optional for us. It's
Ooh,
it's
I
a
give
mandate.
y'all. I know we're trying to get off of this topic, but I'm going to give you one more,
Okay.
and this goes back to Travis Hunter and Jackson State football and voting. Everybody keeps talking about ownership of the Mississippi Veterans Memorial Stadium, and what people need to understand is Jackson State is a state institution just like the rest of these institutions. Don't get caught up on the issue of ownership, because that's just it's a figment. It's like chasing a vapor. It could easily disappear at any moment and come back in a different form. And the reason I say that is because the University of Mississippi is a public university the last time I checked. Southern Mississippi is a public university the last time I checked. Alcorn State, Mississippi Valley, Mississippi State. Guess what that means? Ownership is subjective to the institution for higher learning. IHL board takes
Yep.
care of all of that. So don't get pulled into these false arguments. Where does voting come in on that? You need people in the state house who want to assist you in doing more than just the stadium study. If they want the stadium and the land that is built on, because they don't want the stadium, they want the land.
They want the land. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then
Bottom line.
you need to pressure your representatives to say, show me the money. Just like Jerry Maguire, show me the money.
Right. I'd be
You
glad.
want
I'd be. Hey, you can get it.
money.
You can get it. Show me the money.
Very true.
Well,
Yes.
look, guys, in closing, I want us, it's the holidays. Christmas is tomorrow, it's Christmas Eve. So I wanted to go to everybody and give you a chance to reflect and give your thoughts about the holidays, what it means to you, and what you hope others, your charge to others during this holiday period. Start with you, Kennedy.
Um, the holidays to me means fun, gathering, and just being with my family. Really taking a break and just reflecting on just how far you came. Really, like the end of the year, and I think that's one thing I will say. Like from the beginning of the year to now, like I progressed as a person, as a I would say a professional, and as a student as well. Um, and just seeing my parents like from them getting promotions within their jobs, like just progressing. And as adults, really, you're still always growing. You're never not growing and learning. So, really, just having fun and being with my family, eating. Today, I'm cooking. Gonna make some. This is my first like big girl meal by myself. So I'm gonna season some
Uh-oh.
steak after this. Yep, season some
Don't
steak.
burn them, don't burn them down
I'm
now.
not gonna burn nothing. I'm really good at breakfast, but that's why I'm trying to get better at dinner. So I'm gonna make some steak and I'm gonna do some mashed potatoes and asparagus. And then tomorrow, instead of traditional food, my dad's gonna fry some fish. We're gonna have some seafood lasagna with some grilled crab legs. So yeah, but just being with my family playing
You're
games.
gonna make me get on 35 and head on up to 75, and
Yeah. That's family and me in the holidays, and really, I think for Christmas as well, we're gonna wear our pajamas. My dad's a Bears fan, and me and my mom were Green Bay Packers fans, so we're gonna wear our pajamas and take pictures. So, yeah.
cool. Sir Charles, or you? I'll save Charles for last. How about that? Um, listen. At the end of the day, friends and family, treasure the moments. And I say that because I haven't always done a good job of that. Treasure the moments and be present in the moment and enjoy them because we take for granted that there will be another. Um, and then I will say focus on the quality of true good friendships and not quantity. I don't have a million close friends, but the friends I have are tried and true, and we've been through a lot. So I say that to say that when we reflect, we can get caught up by so many trappings of the world. We can get caught up in our ambition. We can get caught up in this or that. We can get caught up in material. But when it's all said and done, if we've learned nothing, if COVID hasn't taught us anything, it's taught us the great lesson is we are not promised time. We can't predict time. We don't know how much we have or when we'll have it. All we know is that we have right now. So get the most out of your right now with the people that matter the most to
All right.
Very
Most
eloquent. Very eloquent. All right. I, I'm almost at a loss for words.
you. Yeah, right.
I think December, especially right around Christmas Eve into Christmas Day, there's the lore of Santa Claus. By now, I'm not gonna give it away because there may be some children watching. Um, but stories are useful in a way because they condition the mind. Because even though we know something different now, there's an expectation. Whether that expectation is to get the quality out of the relationship, as Leslie said, or the quality out of the games and family time that Kennedy said. I would say the same thing. It's an expectation of reflection, renewal, and just once you renew, then being ready to take action going forward. So it's a brief respite from every day that gets you ready for that next sprint. Because I always hear people say life is a marathon, not a sprint. Well, actually, it's both. There are times when you got to slow it down and grind through. There are other times when you got to sprint to make that last train. Otherwise, you're stuck.
Mhm.
So this is that time. You wanna reflect and have an expectation for what's coming next. And a lot of that's largely upon you. If you plan for it, if you pray for it, and then you execute, it's on you. The rest of it is out of your hands. You have to do the part that you can do, and the rest you leave up to God.
Very true.
Very true. I'm gonna end it like this before the bumper with these words.
Merry Christmas to all, and to all a good night.